Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's Meet the Analyst webinar, B2B Marketing Trends to Watch for 2024. Live from our New York studio, I'm your host, Jeremy Goldman, Senior Director of Client Briefings at Insider Intelligence, and I'm joined by my colleague, Principal Analyst Kelsey Voss, who's in Seattle. Hey, Kelsey, great to have you here.
Hey, Jeremy, it's great to be here today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to your presentation, but before we get into it, just want to take a quick sec to thank Sitecore for making today's webinar possible and welcome Heather Polen, Global Vice President of Customer Transformation at Sitecore. Heather's joining us from Minneapolis. Hey, Heather.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Very quickly, a few things before we dive in. We have a ton of information to share, but there's no need to take notes. We will be emailing you a link with the slides and the recording of today's presentation afterwards, but we would love for you to engage with us in the chat throughout the show to hear your thoughts and predictions for B2B in 2024 and any questions you might have for us. Just use the chat window on the right side of your screen to submit questions or comments at any time during the presentation, and we will get to as many as we can during our live Q&A later on. So with that, Kelsey, let's get started.
Thank you, Jeremy. Well, let's get into it. B2B marketing trends for 2024. So today we're going to talk about generative AI. It's going to take center stage in 2024. Then we have 4 major trends to discuss. The top trend, of course, centers around the impact of generative AI. The 3 other trends, brand equity, data, and human centricity, are closely related and fall under the bigger umbrella of the generative AI trend. Then we'll cover several key takeaways. So let's get started with Gen AI and why it's taking center stage. It's being used in some way by nearly every marketing team. Now, Gen AI isn't necessarily new. Generated content from AI, such as AnyWord, Jasper, Copy AI. Marketers have been using those for some time now, but in the last year, large language models have gotten more powerful and sophisticated in natural language processing. And the impact of Gen AI has had on marketing in 2023 an impressive impact. And it means that marketers are not only using it more, but they're becoming more acutely aware that they need to harness the power and address the challenges that come with using this technology. And this impact, in turn, will bring about the other trends. It'll bring about a renewed focus on brand reputation. It will increase the need to address data quality and reliability, and it will increase the desire for human interactions, such as live events, as a counterbalance to AI-driven campaigns. So Gen AI is already changing how B2B marketers reach and engage with their audiences at every touch point across the customer lifecycle. And the majority of marketers are excited about Gen AI. You can see in the Sitecore survey from earlier this year that over 50% of marketers say that all of these reasons listed here are factors. Its ability to improve research, create and scale content faster, whiteboard future campaigns, provide a better customer experience, create images, improve back-end processes. So our first trend, generative AI. So how will generative AI further impact marketing in 2024? Gen AI is reshaping marketing and changing how marketers do their jobs. Gen AI is fundamentally altering content creation. A massive transformation is underway for marketers in the way they create, iterate, distribute, manage, and even think about content. More and more, Gen AI is touching all aspects of content marketing. It's supporting hyper-personalized campaigns. It's optimizing content on a very large scale. It's here, and it's here to stay. What Gen AI is doing most of all right now is alleviating marketers from menial and repetitive tasks. This paves the way for increased productivity and streamlined operations, and it frees up marketers' time so that they can be more creative and more strategic. Meanwhile, Gen AI technology is evolving quickly and can be applied to an array of new use cases. One example to share is OpenAI's GPT-4 Vision. This has the capability to analyze a photo of an item and generate a product description solely based on that image alone. So beyond menial tasks and these straightforward examples, however, there is a growing recognition of Gen AI's potential to contribute to more complex and creative initiatives, especially as the technology continues to advance and marketers are more familiar with the ways they can leverage it. But clear guidelines and a strategic approach to Gen AI are lacking in the majority of B2B firms. The more Gen AI is integrated into workflows, the more important it is to have guidelines, governance, and a cohesive strategy across the entire business. Marketers need to mitigate any negative impact Gen AI can have on a brand, on campaign efforts, and on the use of customer data. A recent survey of B2B marketers that was conducted by the Content Marketing Institute and Marketing Profs revealed this lack in preparedness and that AI and content remains mostly ungoverned. They found that 3 out of 4 B2B marketers use generative AI tools. However, most of these marketers said they're just experimenting with it, and beyond tools such as Writer and Jasper, many don't pay for it. Instead, they are using free tools like ChatGPT or tools that are embedded in their content creation and management systems. This may be why, when they were asked if they or their companies have guidelines for using Gen AI tools, a whopping 61% said no.
Kelsey,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
no,
I was just
go
going to
for
say
it.
one thing that has definitely struck me with all the conversations I've had with folks on the B2B side, say that it really is this. It is a bit of the Wild West, and it seems like there's an interesting tension between trying to look towards the future, but at the same you want to be quick to adopt, but also don't you need some kind of guardrails, in the names of brand safety?
Yes, and with the guidelines and guardrails, it helps with the effectiveness of the technology. Without it, marketers lack a little bit of control. It can hinder campaigns. You have copyright and ethical considerations and brand reputations to uphold, and also you want to be careful with sensitive customer data. But yes, absolutely. There should be experimentation, there should be innovation, just in a way that's not going to hurt a brand or hurt customers' experience. Great. So my predictions for 2024 are that marketers will adopt more Gen AI into their workflows. Now, there are ongoing budget constraints, increased content demands, and limited resources, but that might actually help the adoption of Gen AI to increase. Gen AI is steering marketers towards a new era of efficiency and creativity. Marketers will look to Gen AI to improve their productivity. Also, Gen AI combined with marketing technology, such as digital asset management systems, will help improve ROI for content and creative production across the customer lifecycle. Marketers will aim to establish guidelines. They will more clearly define the role of Gen AI in their business and what customer data will and will not be included in Gen AI-driven initiatives. This will be essential to protect a brand's integrity and for supporting a cohesive and valuable customer experience. And marketers will be proactive and will educate themselves. B2B marketers will want to avoid pitfalls with Gen AI, such as providing subpar customer experiences or producing generic content. They will want to manage privacy and other regulatory issues. So to accomplish this, there will be also an increased need for alignment and collaboration across teams, and also with providers of AI tools and related experts. You may be thinking, but wait, couldn't Gen AI just replace marketers? In 2024, it will become more apparent that Gen AI isn't going to take marketing jobs. Certainly not if marketers understand Gen AI know how to use it effectively, and can think of it as an essential tool for their marketing toolkit, helping them do their jobs better. Millions of jobs could be affected, but AI is not able to replace entire roles that are currently human occupied. AI will usher in the creation of new jobs that require effectively working alongside and understanding AI, such as prompt engineers, as well as roles that require human oversight of the technology. We may even see that Gen AI becomes more integrated into B2B marketing strategies, and there will be an emergence of specialized teams focusing on curating, enhancing, and overseeing the output of AI-generated content. These teams could play a pivotal role in maintaining brand consistency, fine-tuning creative elements, and ensuring a seamless blend between human-driven and AI-driven marketing efforts. Which leads me to my second trend, which is brand equity. This is about the brand and the value of the brand based on people's perception of the brand. These perceptions are formed by their experiences, for instance, during the buying process or as a customer. So with ever increasing amounts of competition for B2B firms, effective brand marketing is crucial to bolster brand equity. Gen AI can help amplify a brand's visibility. It can even fortify a brand's identity for sustained success. But Gen AI can also hinder a brand's reputation. So on the positive side, Gen AI can help differentiate a brand. For instance, marketers in a small software company striving to establish a presence in a crowded market could use ChatGPT to research competition and then use Gen AI to craft communication that highlights the brand's unique selling points. This can help ensure potential buyers recognize and remember a brand amidst all this competition. But Gen AI can also pose risks to a brand reputation. AI-generated content may lack brand voice and consistency. It may be just the same as other competitors' content if they're all using ChatGPT. Marketers risk devaluing their ability to tell unique, thought-provoking stories. And audiences will turn away if they sense they're viewing content that's not authentic or even from the brand itself. Further, AI models are trained on these large data sets that may contain bias or inappropriate content. This could inadvertently harm a brand's image by providing inaccurate or misleading information. So securing long-term brand equity is paramount. Beyond the immediate recognition, all marketers need to ensure that their offerings stay top of mind for buyers. Maintaining a robust online and offline presence safeguards against unwanted interference from AI-generated content and ensures that when B2B buyers are researching options or when they are in the market to buy products and services, they can find the brands that they trust and that will fulfill their needs. So, yes.
Kelsey, I was just going to say that last one, I'm glad that you brought that up because it does seem that on one hand, you know, all the companies that we cover, there's a lot of pressure on them to reduce costs in the short term, and they look at Gen AI as a great way to do that. But at the same time, they have to realize that they're going to be in, you know, the market still 1 year from now, 2 years from now. So you can get a little bit too thrifty and then dilute your brand equity in the long term. And I imagine it's not necessarily the strategy you would advise, no?
No, you don't want to risk losing sight of your unique brand and your unique propositions. And you have to understand, particularly in B2B, that most buyers are not in the market at this moment to buy. You have to go into the long haul. And, you know, today's buyer is the committee is much larger. So you're having to deal with maybe 20, 30 people in a buying committee. So you're having to get that brand out there in a personalized, targeted way to each of those buying committee members. But yeah, it's very important to keep sight of the brand, to not get lost into AI-generated content that's going to devalue what the brand has to offer. So how important is brand reputation to buyers, as we're just saying? A recent survey conducted by Boston Consulting Group asked SMB buyers this question. Turns out it's very important. Overall, maybe unsurprisingly, price is the key factor in choosing a vendor. However, the survey also found that in the case of the largest SMBs, buyers surveyed said they prioritized reputation over price. So my predictions for 2024 are that B2B firms will capitalize on generative AI. They will leverage it to carve out unique identities. Small and large businesses alike can use Gen AI to help strengthen their brand's equity and be top of mind. With the assistance of AI-powered research and customer feedback, they will tailor Gen AI content to showcase innovative solutions to attract and engage with customers. And they'll look to maintain their brand safety. B2B marketers will need to be proactive. They will need to vet all AI-generated content, safeguard against privacy breaches in customer data, monitor how Gen AI represents the brand, and to be able to intervene when necessary. Marketers will bear the responsibility to enhance their brand's equity and protect their brands against serious risks. Gen AI will play a pivotal role in shaping the narratives that brands convey. B2B marketers will increasingly use AI to analyze market trends, customer sentiments, and competitive landscapes to craft compelling stories. The shift towards AI-informed storytelling will ensure that brands stay relevant and resonate with their target audiences in a crowded business landscape. Now, our third trend is data, and data is at the core. Data is at the heart of it all, and data management will be essential, even with budget constraints. With heightened privacy concerns, data regulations, and the increased use of Gen AI, marketers need to prioritize data quality and governance, as well as data integrations. So data at the center of marketing transformations that are happening. Therefore, a strong data foundation, which lays the groundwork for effective data management, is imperative for successful campaign performance and outcomes, for data analytics and to measure ROI, and for personalized buyer experiences. Everything in B2B marketing hinges on robust data management, and there must be a focus on data quality and completeness. Effective collection, storage, and utilization of data are definitely needed for campaigns to yield results. This is particularly crucial when marketers use Gen AI to sift through vast data sets, aiming to uncover valuable customer insights and trying to create hyper-personalized experiences for them. Ensuring consistency in data across various platforms and within customer interactions is required. Marketers need to implement a centralized data management system, define data standards, perform regular audits, and integrate systems. Consistency not only safeguards brand integrity, but also enhances the ability to deliver seamless and cohesive customer experiences. But implementing data standards is met with multiple challenges. A recent survey conducted by Claravine found that the complexity of integrating necessary systems and data sets is the biggest hurdle to implementing a data standards practice. So if marketers are looking to bring more Gen AI into the mix, complex integration challenges due to so many things: diverse data sources, legacy systems, synchronization issues, scalability issues, security compliance requirements, etc. This will increase the complexity and the challenge and can negatively affect brands and customer experiences.
Kelsey, by the way, on this one, last interruption, but I think it's really fascinating that, there are a lot of B2B firms, they understand, and if you look at SMBs in particular, they have so many different directions they're being pulled in that it's difficult for them, even though they know the ROI is there, to be able to integrate all these things together, to be able to take all these data silos and make sense of them, and to prove ROI at a time where like we were talking about before, budgets are tight. So it seems like it's the right thing to do, but maybe hard to do it despite knowing that it's gonna be worthwhile in the end. No?
Yeah, it's a classic challenge, and it's just getting more complicated when teams are trying to integrate more Gen AI into the mix. But it has to be a priority. And if you're a small SMB, don't try to do too much at once. Don't try to integrate everything and make it, perfect all at the same time. Try to get your legacy systems in line, get the data clean, do sort of the basic groundwork before you jump into the deep end with adding all these other tools and potentially other systems on top of everything else. So my predictions for 2024 are that marketers will leverage data analytics with AI. This will help with personalization and to gain deeper insights into customer behaviors. The fusion of data analytics and Gen AI will empower marketers with predictive analytics throughout the customer lifecycle. And this allows for more accurate forecasting and for optimizing strategies. And kind of to your point, Jeremy, marketers will need expert talent, data management tools, and outside experts to mitigate data-related issues. Marketers typically don't know how to organize, clean, interpret, or extract insights from complex data sets. Data scientists and analysts do this. So as the use of Gen AI within customer data platforms and other MarTech becomes more prevalent, concerns over things like the ethical use of Gen AI, handling of sensitive data, privacy regulations, all this, it's going to increase. The issues are going to increase. Now, again, like expert talent may seem cost prohibitive, especially for these smaller businesses or small marketing teams, but expertise, knowledge, and training is going to be necessary. So, again, don't overdo it with major integrations if you can't afford it, but no matter the budget, data is a top priority. And then as Gen AI becomes more an integral part of B2B marketing, marketing will then look to data to enhance the customer experience. So we're going back to the buyer and the customer here, and customer journeys will evolve to become more tailored and more dynamic. AI algorithms will continuously analyze data and adapt to customer behavior, predicting preferences and adjusting marketing touchpoints in real time. This shift will enhance the overall customer experience and drive more targeted, personalized, optimized engagement. And here we get to my final trend, which is about human centricity. Human connections and human-centric marketing is very important. It's a super important trend and is crucial for B2B marketing success. What's happening? Human connections, as we know, they're already becoming a major focus. B2B firms, their prospects, and their customers want a counterbalance to AI. Adding on to the impact that the pandemic had on marketing, resulting in the creation of an incredible amount of content and digital noise, the proliferation of AI-generated content means that having human connections is becoming even more important, and marketers are looking to make sure that they are offering chances to have these connections. Marketers see a need to balance the efficiency of AI-generated content with authentic human connections. So really, Gen AI should be a support function rather than a replacement for human interactions. Face-to-face interactions becoming increasingly important. Coming out of the pandemic, many people couldn't wait to be in the same room with each other and see each other in person. Add to this, B2B events are incredibly important for B2B firms to attract prospects and engage with them, and also to meet with clients. Prior to the pandemic, events could easily take up most of a marketing budget, and now the urge to get back to them is evident. But we need to balance technological advancement with genuine human-centric marketing. This is crucial for trust building. If all content stemming from a marketing team is generated by AI, there's going to be backlash from prospects and customers. We know that AI content could be fraught with issues. And if multiple teams in a certain vertical are pushing out the same AI content, it will lack a unique perspective, brand voice, and certainly will lack quality. There'll be a lack of human expertise. It's funny, it's one data scientist I talked to said, if you put someone up on stage that can only speak to content from ChatGPT, it will become evident very quickly that they can't hold a real conversation or provide an expert opinion on a topic. And also consider what Michael Brenner shared with me recently, which is the paradox of AI. The more automation and AI we use, the more audiences will expect us to connect with them as humans. We crave human interaction, and most of us don't want to interact solely with Siri or Alexa or Google, because AI lacks emotional intelligence and real personal experiences that drive the human creative process. B2B marketing leaders are focused on making these connections. According to this LinkedIn survey conducted by Ipsos, 6 in 10 B2B marketing leaders say they plan to use in-person events, and the majority say the use of in-person events is going to increase in the next year. In-person events were also cited as the most effective B2B marketing channel, followed by video. Roughly 3 in 5 B2B marketing leaders said they plan to use thought leadership techniques in the following year, which is a nod to human experts, on par with in-person events and video. My predictions for 2024 are that a return to pre-pandemic events will happen. In-person and live interactive experiences with industry experts will become necessary to complement AI-powered customer interactions. They provide a counterbalance to the digital noise. They're building on the need for social interactions after the pandemic. Now, between events, marketers can then leverage Gen AI to help with personalized communications, building on the trust established at an event. B2B marketers will emphasize the human touch in content. They will focus on storytelling, emotional appeal, and relatable narratives from these thought leaders and influencers to forge genuine connections with their audiences. Though Gen AI can tailor, website copy, generate keywords, help answer questions via chatbot, the human element in B2B marketing remains irreplaceable as it brings an authentic and intuitive understanding between buyers and sellers. To maintain strong connections with customers, marketers will need support from the top down. CMOs will need to collaborate with their C-suite counterparts for responsible Gen AI use at all levels of their organization, especially regarding data sharing and transparency. A top-down generative AI strategy that considers the impact of Gen AI and the impact it will have on data, brand identity, and customer experiences will benefit companies if they get this, and it will benefit their customers. So how should B2B marketers prepare? Here are several takeaways. Have an integrated strategic approach to marketing with Gen AI. This requires careful consideration, coordination, and collaboration across teams. A successful integration plan requires a comprehensive understanding of your business goals, your target audience, and what technology you have available to you. And you'll need to regularly assess and adapt your strategies to stay ahead in this dynamic and evolving AI-infused marketing world. Consider Gen AI's positive and negative effects on brand reputation. Gen AI still has a long way to go to ensure accuracy, attribution, and non-biased perspectives. Marketers should provide oversight and be transparent about how they use Gen AI. They should ensure that the technology is aligned with their brand's values and their customers' expectations. Leverage data-driven insights with the help of Gen AI to enhance customer experience. But you'll need a strong data foundation so you can make informed decisions, personalize customer experiences, and optimize marketing strategies. In 2024, Gen AI is complicating data and it's making it more challenging to achieve seamless data integrations. Again, data, absolutely a priority for B2Bs in 2024. And finally, have a harmonious blend of Gen AI tech and the human touch. Gen AI isn't ready to replace humans. It cannot replicate human experience, expertise, emotion, and it certainly, it can support content marketing efforts, but it lacks creative storytelling, it lacks spontaneity and originality. And humans are needed to make sure that the content produced has value and represents the brand. Finally, audiences want to engage with other people. They want to hear from real expertise and real experts, and they want to do business with companies that they trust. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Jeremy.
That was really great, Kelsey. I got so much terrific information there. I was also very happy to hear that Gen AI isn't ready to replace humans yet. So I can keep my desk for now. So in all seriousness, we will get back into it shortly with a special quick take conversation between Kelsey and our guest, Heather Polen, Global Vice President of Customer Transformation at Sitecore, in just 1 second. But don't worry if you joined us late. We will be emailing you a link with the slides and the recording of today's presentation after the broadcast. And another reminder to share your thoughts on trends and predictions for 2024 in the chat. And remember, if you have any questions, we have our live Q&A coming up in just a few minutes, so please keep them coming. All right, Kelsey, back over to you and Heather.
Great. Hey, Heather.
Hi, Kelsey.
Thanks again for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super passionate about this topic and very excited to get into this discussion with you.
Yeah, me too. We had a little bit of a chat earlier, and I'm super excited to talk more about this. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what I shared today.
I could not agree with your predictions more. I think you're spot on where 2024 is going to take us. You know, it's funny, I think back to last January and the conversations I was having around the globe with different customers around AI. And the concern then was, I think AI will take my job as a marketer. I think my job is going away. And I think you're spot on that our jobs are not going away as marketers, but AI is here to stay, and it's here to stay to complement what we do, to make our lives easier, but not to replace us. I think today marketing is harder than it's ever been before. And you touched on this as well, but the skill sets have changed so much. And you add AI into the mix and the need for data skill sets, the need to understand and be able to implement technology comes into play. And so more than ever, that convergence of technology and creativity is going to be at the forefront of everything we do.
What role do you think data has in this Gen AI world?
I think it plays a critical role. And I think you said, you made a comment that this is a critical component as we go into 2024, that data is going to be an imperative for all of us. And when I think about data, and I think about what you talked about, content proliferation, really data has to be behind all of that. So not only is data responsible for the segmentation, not only is data responsible for helping us understand the messages and the pieces we want to pull out and how we want to market, but it also plays a role when you think about how you're going to serve all of this content we're now able to create with AI. And so as we go forward, that ability to have clean data, ability to see that user profile, that customer from all angles, from different channels, as you mentioned, from different, angles and paths and journeys, will become more and more important. We can create all the content we want, but if we don't have the data and understand where it needs to be served, all we're going to do is sit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So about human centricity, how do you see the digital landscape changing as we move to a more human-centric world, and where customers place a higher value on being in person and having those live interactions?
I think this one's fascinating. I think it's going to be really interesting over the next year to see where we go. And I agree with what you're saying. I agree that we are all craving more human interaction. I think that for me, there's no event that pushes us to this place. So, for example, we had a major event in the pandemic that forced me into more of a digital world. And so I've created a behavior set now for myself, personally, professionally, with how I engage, how I interact. And so, well, that has served me well over the past couple of years. I understand and believe I myself have that need for additional human contact, for that one-on-one conversation, that event that a B2B may hold. And so I do agree that we will go there and get there. I think that that is going to be a bit of a journey. And I think that really being able to understand what customers want when they're in person, and that human touch and where it's really required, and then what we can communicate, what information we can serve to folks digitally, to help augment, because we won't do everything in person still. Again, we don't have this big event to create that. So how do we augment what we're doing in person with digital, and starting to really understand what our customers will respond to in a physical world versus a digital world, and being able to tie those two together well will be important as we go forward.
Yeah. I'm curious, what specific things are you seeing customers doing to realize the promise of Gen AI?
It's all over the board. So, we have some customers who right now are literally just saying, we need to get a plan. And that's okay. If you aren't ready to take that journey, I think getting your plan together this year, you want to get that plan together. Think through where you may want to use the technology, what problems you have that you need to solve, or gaps or opportunities in your business, and how Gen AI may be helpful to that. We have other customers that are much further along on their journey. So as a couple of examples, we have an automotive customer. And as you can imagine, they are working with their customers, so think dealerships. Then they also have to communicate out to their consumer, that end buyer. And as they start to think through that B2B aspect of what they're doing, a lot of what they're trying to do is take information that they have and get it out to those dealerships, answer questions, make sure they're fully prepared. And so we're working with them on a project where they can actually do a lot of that using Gen AI. They actually already have the data sets that they need. They have the answers to the questions. So using AI to facilitate that is something that's easily accessible for them. We have another customer who's more on the manufacturing side of things. And their biggest issue is, how do we even put the data together? Like, how do we put the responses to the questions we're getting together? Our engineers aren't really prepared or skilled. What does that look like? And so we're actually working with them, not to serve the content to the customer, but more to help them use AI to start to build that. And to your point, it's the start. It's the look at, here is what the answer could be. Now, put that human touch over the top of it. Make sure it's in the right place. Make sure it is in the right, it's the right response, and it's what you want to tell that customer. And so, we see all kinds of different interactions, all types of different uses of AI. I think those are two very fascinating examples because they're very different.
Yeah, yeah. We can keep talking, I'm sure, for hours on this. But I think we need to go to Jeremy. There's a Q&A session, and I have a feeling there's a lot of questions coming in.
Sounds great. Thank you.
And your feeling is correct. So thank you so much, both of you, Kelsey and Heather.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that chat. And I want to jump right into some of these audience Q&A questions we've got here. We've received a lot of great questions, so let's get started. One thing I thought was interesting is obviously there are a lot of people in the B2C space as well. So Kelsey, how do you think this differs, if at all, from the B2C marketing space in terms of the adoption of Gen AI?
Yeah, I think they might be a little bit further along than B2B firms with the adoption on some level. They have already recognized the need to be empathetic and authentic, and if they're not, there can be a backlash right away. B2B firms are more used to talking about products and services and pain points, and B2B firms are talking more about feelings and emotions and how we're going to maybe better you as a person. So it's a little different, but I think the challenges are there regardless. I mean, I think you're still trying to connect with people as humans, and you want to be authentic and you want to build trust, and you're going to fall into some of the same challenges or have some of the same challenges, particularly with data, particularly, with brand is probably even harder to keep tabs on with B2C. But yeah, I think there's differences, but I think there's a lot of the same issues and challenges that everyone's going through right now, because a lot of this is just so new and so, uncharted waters that we're going through right now.
So I think we had two questions in one here that I'm going to merge for us. One of our viewers said, as a single person marketing department, AI has boosted my productivity greatly. I can only see it helping me succeed even more in the future. And that actually, jumps into another one. Could you give more examples of how Gen AI can remediate tedious processes and enable marketers to have more free time to create? This a viewer said that they had success with ideation and strategy using AI. Curious to hear more about eliminating tedious work from the both of you.
There's many examples. Of course, it does, again, require, you need some setup, you need a little bit of training, prompt engineers, but Gen AI can be great for repurposing content. You can take a pillar piece of content, say a white paper, and Gen AI can help you create blog posts, social posts, ads, even infographics. Another great way is generating keywords. You can generate millions of keywords and test constantly of which ones are going to work, or ads and the copy in the ads. You can find that sometimes Gen AI is even better than humans at succeeding at advertising because there's ironically no bias from the marketer in it. I know that sounds completely against everything I said, but it is true. You still want the human oversight. But having Gen AI give you the ability to create like thousands of varieties very quickly certainly helps, particularly if you're a small team, kind of get to your results faster and optimize your campaigns.
I agree with Kelsey. I think a lot of those tasks that are highly time consuming, so that content creation, whether it's taking that piece of content, creating it across channels, taking that piece of content, looking at your audiences, a lot of that can be done automatically for you. And I say automatically, and I use that word lightly, if you will, but it can do a lot of that for you. So I think from that perspective, it makes our jobs easier. I do think that some of the work that has to go into this is training the models, is teaching the model what it is you want out of it, so that you do, when you go to eliminate some of these tasks and make yourself more efficient, you get back more of what you want. Because again, you'll still have to put a little bit of human touch over the top of most of this. Most of it's not going to be 100% perfect. So it's still going to take human intervention. But if you can train those models and it understands what you want out of it, I think you'll find you'll become more and more efficient with every task that you do, whether it is strategy or whether it's some of the more rudimentary tasks.
So Heather, this is another question that might be a good follow-up, just from what you were just saying. Every emerging technology comes with its own unique set of challenges. So what kind of gotchas should marketers be aware of as they embark on their Gen AI journey, in addition to what you just mentioned?
Yep. I think with Gen AI, it's about the governance. So Kelsey shared a statistic about most of us as marketers, the biggest concern and need is really around that governance piece, understanding where you're going to use it, where you're not going to use it. I call it the creepy factor. So, anytime you get into technology that can help augment our work, that can start to think and help us, you get into some of that. Am I going too far? Does this feel like a human or a machine? What's the right parameter around privacy? I think Kelsey mentioned that as well. Putting some of those parameters in place to guide you will help. So what are your must-haves, lines in the sand that you cannot cross, so that you maintain your brand integrity and you maintain your customers' trust? And then I think it's about iterating to great. So you don't have to start from ground zero to 100. It's starting small and starting to add and learn and go. But the gotcha really is you've got to have that governance in place.
So we had another one that I think is very also related to what you were just talking about, but anybody feel free to jump in here. Do agencies and marketers need to have a code of conduct on how we, will use AI and tools like ChatGPT?
You want to begin, Heather?
I can begin. Sure. I think it goes back to governance. I think that personally, I would say yes. I would say whether it's a code of conduct or some type of documentation that outlines the governance you're going to have, how you're going to use it, what line in the sand you have, where you cannot cross as a brand, I think is critically important. I think your agencies need to be aligned with you on that, as agencies will adopt this technology as you're adopting it as well. It'll be important, as always, to make sure that your partners have the same perspective you do.
Yeah, I agree. I think documentation, as boring as that sounds, is really important to know exactly what they're planning to do, what you want them to do, what data that they're going to use, all the details of how you're going to interact and conduct business really needs to be laid out and prepared in advance, so to speak. You can't just jump into these campaigns without knowing what's going to happen with the customer data, or is it going to be proprietary data that's used, or if they're going to go off and do something you didn't expect. So yeah, as boring as it sounds, documentation, I think, is extremely important.
We actually had another question that ties into this about how can you address AI in a brand guideline, like talking about tone, voice, empathy, audience, and so on. And I'll just say, as a former small agency owner, this is the classic thing of, you're going to have a creative brief and you're going to be able to explain what your brand is. So this is essentially your creative partner in some ways. And that's the way that I've kind of heard people refer to Gen AI tools, as they have to be trained in the same way that any other partner has to be communicated with. What do you both think?
Yeah, absolutely. And not just, and including in there, what tone of voice are you using? What's the brand voice? What's the brand message? What's the story you're trying to tell, for instance? All of that has to play into it. But you can train models on all of that. So it's does require a little bit of work up front, but I think it could be extremely useful.
I agree with that, Kelsey. And I think not only does it require a little bit of work up front, but I believe it requires ongoing work as well. So once you start to train the model, that brand voice you want it to use, as you start to build your content, as you start to look at using that, then you'll continue to give that model feedback, if you will, and it will continue to get better and better and better. And so you'll find as time goes on that need for human intervention will always be there, but you will continue to decrease how much time you'll need to put into it.
A really good point there. Yeah, and so many good ones coming in. So I think maybe we can do two more. There is one question about with customers wanting more human connections. Is the expectation that more organic content will resonate better and stand out as generative AI struggles to produce content as effective?
I think it does resonate better. I think also you think about AI in search and Google's EEAT, and in order to rank in Google, you need that your expertise and that experience, and that goes to human-generated content mostly, right? So maybe you can get away with it, and you can train your models to come up with content that has all the right keywords in it. But generally speaking, even if you want to rank on Google, you need to have that human touch, that human, at least oversight over the content, and that human expertise and experience. So I think that from the customer side, yes, they absolutely crave it. I think they hate it when they're being tricked. If you have a chat bot that pretends to be real, but it's not like, Lisa from Wyoming, it's just not a person. It backfires, and it's frustrating for a customer, and they don't want that experience. They maybe will tolerate a chatbot for simple things, and they're used to that. But when it comes to something maybe more complex, or they really need true assistance with their account or something, you need that human interaction, or else you're going to lose the customer.
So I think we have time for one more question. I'd love for both of you to answer. Do you both have an anti-trend? Like, what's a hot topic this year that you don't think will be really part of the discussion this time next year?
Jeremy, I have one. Metaverse. I think that over the last year, we've had a lot of discussions about the metaverse. Over the last few months, it's really started to die off. And I think as we get into 2024, there will still be some lingering discussions, but I really think the bigger discussion will be around leveraging AI as a part of the business to augment what we all do, not to take things over. I think that the discussion of metaverse and doing business in this virtual reality world will continue to decline.
I have one that's maybe a bit of surprise, but I've been hearing quite a bit about this. It's not that it's going to disappear. It's certainly not going away, but social media marketing in B2B has declined in its effectiveness. And I think it's a very interesting topic, and I'll probably write on this very soon. But it kind of goes to that people want the human interaction. They want to have that face-to-face. They want to have maybe like a networking community, but they're not going to go to social to do all the lots of posting that they used to do. And the amount of leads that are coming from social have diminished quite a bit in B2B. So I think that's an interesting place where it's not as hot right now. Maybe it will be in a little while. So I can't say it's going away at all,
And I think some of that is just because people are going to those great in-person events again, and also attending amazing webinars. I think it's a mix of those two.
Right, like this one.
So unfortunately, that is all the time, though, we have for today. So thanks again to Kelsey for joining us, and a very special thanks to Heather and to the team at Sitecore, our Studio II crew, And the eMarketer production team also deserves a huge thank you for making this webinar possible. Before we wrap up, let me take a moment to tell you what's happening across eMarketer's media channels. You can register for more live analyst and tech talk webinars on our events page at eMarketer.com/events. This Thursday, we have another exciting 2024 focused analyst webinar for you. It's our last one of the year. Senior analyst Evelyn Mitchell-Wolf will share her top programmatic ad trends, so be sure to check that out. And don't forget to check out our newsletters and our daily podcast, Behind the Numbers. Thank you so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.